It is time for our final roundtable in August. Can you believe it? I can't believe it. The summer's going like that. Joining us are Democratic political analyst Marianne Marsh, Republican political analyst Rob Gray. Great to see you guys, as always.
So the Suffolk DA's race is heating up these final days with Ricardo Arroyo's behavior nearly 2 decades ago, losing some endorsements and with others reconsidering theirs. Allegations of sexual harassment never led to charges, but is Arroyo more vulnerable because he's not the first member of his family embroiled in these types of scandals, Marianne?
The fact is neither Arroyo nor Hayden are qualified to be DA, and neither one of them should be on their own merits. The fact is Arroyo, in the story that came out in the Globe last week about the allegations of sexual harassment, his conduct in the wake of being inquired about it by the reporters, his claims that he erroneously answered questions on his bar exam, all are disqualifying. And it, frankly, a shame. How are women going to feel that they can go to the DA's office, if he's in it, with sexual harassment claims? On the other hand, Kevin Hayden, as we talked about in previous weeks, who refused to open an investigation on a law enforcement official, accepted donations from the 2 people who benefited from it, then opened it up after the Globe reported about it. Neither one of these guys should be DA. We need a do-over.
Is Arroyo's problems based on the fact of his family's history, or is it a completely different set of circumstances?
Well, he owns it himself. And first of all, the timing could not be worse for this bombshell. I mean, we have a primary a week from Tuesday, and this just coming out now, right as people are really focusing and making their decision. However, I think it raises the fact that Arroyo's sort of in a career politician kind of family, and people don't want that now. They want change. So I think it highlights that and hurts him, even though I think he has to answer individually for the things that allegedly happened in these 2 incidents.
The next item is the race for governor. Jeff Diehl refuses to run against Chris Doty in the Republican race for governor. Instead, he's running with the ballot referendum question to refuse undocumented residents' driver's licenses. In fact, he touts that they have collected twice the number of signatures needed to get on the November ballot. Is this the smartest way to win the party nomination, Rob?
It is. I mean, let's face it, Chris Doughty hasn't met the threshold required to be the type of candidate that Jeff Diehl has to run against. Diehl had a 3-1 lead. Doughty spent a couple $1 million. It's not enough to be a credible candidate. You're coming from nowhere. I mean, look at what Shannon Liss Reardon is spending of her own personal wealth to run for AG, probably $10 million. $2 million is peanuts. So if I'm Jeff Diehl, I'm doing the same thing. Jeff Diehl has the energy and activism of the party with him. He was smart to go after those signatures. It activated the base. All 100,000 people who signed those signatures are with Jeff Diehl in a primary where there might only be 200,000 votes.
Mm-hmm. Marianne, what's your read?
Rob's right. I mean, he basically needs all the Trump voters to win the primary. Diehl needs the Trump voters to win the primary. Not everybody is going to vote for Diehl who signed those things. In fact, some people said they were misled about those petitions. However, Diehl still needs them in the general election, so he can only lose by about 30 points to Maura Healey. So it is a classic Diehl approach now to run against things, but I have no idea anything he is for.
So Senator Elizabeth Warren and Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley pushed for $50,000 student loan forgiveness and got less than half that. You heard Congressman Auchincloss talk about it just now. Was this the president's smartest political move overall, especially with midterms coming up, Marianne?
100%. He made that commitment. He kept his word. And it makes a huge difference to middle-class families, to women, to graduates of color, all of whom have more college debt than anybody else combined. We have spoken on the show many times about the fact that college debt has really saddled kids from getting married, buying a home, starting a family, all those things, because I feel that they can't afford it. This will break that cycle, and then that money goes into buying homes, getting married, having kids, and producing a stronger economy. Jake is right in that healthcare debt would appeal to more people, but you got to do college debt first.
10,000 enough, do you think, Rob?
I think this is going to backfire completely on Biden. I mean, Democrats in blue-collar districts are opposed to this. Jared Golden in Maine called it out of touch. Tim Ryan in Ohio is opposed to this. Biden himself, it's reported, had a hard time going forward with this. I think he felt forced by Pressley and others to do this. They are out of touch with mainstream America in a race where he needs mainstream Americans to vote Democratic. It's going to backfire.
Next thing I want to talk about is Lieutenant Governor's race. Kim Driscoll gaining support and dollars from some key fundraisers for Maura Healey. Rob, how much of a signal does this send to voters picking up a Democratic ballot next week? Right, a week from Tuesday, right?
Yeah. I think she's helped by it. I mean, this is a low interest race. A lot of it is communicating with activists to the extent that she can hitchhike on Maura Healey communicating with activists. It helps her in a race where there's not been a lot of money spent on advertising and the candidates are not that well known.
Yeah.
Look, a lot of Healey supporters are now Driscoll supporters, but it's not a surprise. Many of them are women, LGBTQ, oh my God, it's Sunday morning, donors and all that. It might, some activists might see it as a wink, but that's all it would be.
Yeah, very good. All right.